Hello again, everyone, and welcome back to Board Game Dads. My name is Anthony, and I'm here once again with
I am Eric
of
at the
at
Meeples Republic
wrong preposition. I
on
apologize.
Instagram.
On Instagram specifically, yes. And we are the Board Game Dads. We are best known for our holiday spotlight on board games, where we integrate some holiday themes into some board games that sort of match up there thematically. Very popular series, by the way. So popular, in fact, that the studio has already approved a spin-off of that show, which, guess what, is starting right now. That's right. This is the first episode of Seasonal Spotlight. And we're going to be focusing on some games that take place in the winter time. Eric, when we think of winter, what are some things that come to mind? For me, obviously, the first thing is snow.
Right. I mean, we're also from geographically an area of America where we get snow.
True.
You're closer to New York. I'm closer to Philly. And unfortunately, there's a pretty big discrepancy between the snow in North Jersey versus the snow in Southern Jersey, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, that snow rain line is always pretty
Yeah.
pretty bouncy right about there. You guys are below it a lot.
But I love the snow. I've loved it since I was a kid. I still love it. I went snowboarding once. It was fine. I just wasn't that good at it. But otherwise, skiing and snowboarding, I'm interested in it. I never really got into it. It wasn't my
Yeah,
thing.
I've never been on like a mountain for a snow sport before.
Right.
I've never been skiing or snowboarding. I don't really have the desire to. I probably would suck at it and get discouraged pretty quickly and just want to go back. So there's
Yeah, I
that.
fell a lot. I remember my wrists, my knees, my butt. They were
Yeah.
achy. They were achy.
But
But it was
as a
fun.
kid, there was nothing better than
Sleigh riding.
sleigh riding. Well, I was going to say there's nothing better than when there was a snowstorm that we knew was coming, right? And you
You
get that
stay up. You
call.
stay up late the night before because you know you're not going to school. Your parents know you're not going to school. You hear
Yeah,
a phone ring at 6 o'clock in the morning. No school.
that's right. That's right. Yeah, and back then, folks, there was a phone chain that had to take place where one person called four people to say there was no school tomorrow, and those people each called X amount of people. I remember it's funny because my mom was one of the people, and she had like the list of people to call to tell them that there was no school. Doesn't really work that way anymore.
No, that's true because we are older than the internet.
That's true. That is a true statement.
That is.
But
But
as a kid,
otherwise,
yeah, go ahead. What are some things you like to do as a kid when we had a good snow day?
well, the first thing I'm going to say is Christmas. Now, I'm sure we're going to have much more to say about Christmas come December. But yes, definitely the holiday season is a big part of winter.
Yeah, no, you're right. And I'm glad you mentioned that. We're definitely removing holidays from this particular discussion. We both love Christmas a lot, and we know that we have a lot of information and a lot of games to talk about come Christmas time. So we got a whole year to prepare for that. We're going to focus just on sort of the wintry weather part of the games here, I think.
So the other thing I have that really just encompasses the winter is cold.
Yep, that'll happen.
Yep. So jumping into it, my first game is called The Coldest Night,
How appropriate.
where it's cold and you are building a fire and trying to maintain the fire throughout the night, and your goal is to make it to dawn when the sun comes up and you win. So you're playing cards, and they have a heat value, and they have a ash value, and they also have sometimes a special effect on the bottom if you play it correctly. And you basically you go through the whole deck cooperatively. I looked it up on BGG. It's deck. What was it again?
Oh, they called it a move through the
Move
deck
through deck
game.
mechanism.
Move through deck game, yeah,
Right.
mechanism.
So it's a move through deck game because you have this deck. You're moving through it. You're taking cards. You're playing them out, and that's it. It's fun. It's cooperative. We only played it once, but it definitely did not leave a bad taste in our mouth. Where it's gonna take a long time to replay it. This one will hit the table again before next winter.
Sure. Well, it's really short, you said, right?
Right. It's like a 20-minute game.
Yeah, yeah. So that's, I mean, when you're looking to play a couple of games in a night.
30-minute game if you have to remember how to play it.
Yes. But no, it sounds like it's an easy one to get to the table and be able to have time to play something else as well, which is good. So you win, obviously, if you survive through the whole deck. How do you lose in this game?
So there are frostbite cards.
Okay.
There's maybe 12 of them, and each time something occurs, that'll give you a frostbite card. Take the card from the deck. If that deck ever is empty, you lose. Uh, while you're playing the game, you're keeping the fire alive. The fire consists of 4 or less cards. If the fire ever consists of 0 cards, you lose.
Hmm.
And to win, you just play all the cards from the deck.
I've never played this game. I got to say, it sounds interesting. It's interesting to me that the whole theme is really super focused, right? A couple of episodes ago,
Super
Eric,
simple too.
right. It's just about the fire, right? That's the whole thing. A couple of episodes ago, we talked about our favorite survival on an island type games for Robinson Crusoe Day. We talked about how those games, Castaways and Robinson Crusoe, have a ton of different actions and things you're trying to do, like build shelter and hunt and make fire and things like that.
Right.
This game is like super focused on
Right.
just keeping the fire going, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, I love the survival theme, so I definitely enjoy this game. I believe this was a Kickstarter, and my
Okay.
brother got it for me for my birthday. My birthday.
Oh, okay. So he thought you would like the theme. That's pretty cool.
Like I think he saw that it's cooperative and it's survival and it's cold, and he was like, "Oh, it's not." Again, and I know we've said this before. I'm a dad to an 18-month-old, and I have a job, so I don't have time to play a game that's going to take longer than 2.5 hours, unless it's Spirit Island or like a very small, baby-sized handful of other games.
Okay.
So it's nice to be able to have some nice quick filler games that aren't super long that we can play.
Sure.
So it was a good gift. I liked it.
Cool. Well, my first pick here with a sort of winter backdrop is really a classic game at this point that is in a lot of people's collection, and that's Carcassonne, specifically Carcassonne Winter Edition. This game has a special place for Lauren and I. We actually use some of the images from the Winter Carcassonne box insert and things like that for a couple of the elements at our wedding, for like the seating chart background and a couple of other things. And our our favorite was a beer bottle that had a label design that has a white meeple on it too, and some snowflakes and stuff. So definitely one that is near and dear to our hearts. We play Carcassonne very often. This one specifically, the only difference really in this game from the original, from the base game, is, well, the tiles look different. They're all snow covered, which is cool. And there's one other thing that's different, which there is a gingerbread man token that comes out during the game when the first gingerbread icon comes out on one of the tiles. Basically, he always goes into an unfinished city, and if someone else later in the game draws a tile with the gingerbread man, he moves to a new city, but that person who inhabits that city he left from gets points per tile that are in that city. So he's always
it's 1
moving
point
around.
per tile, right?
I think it's one per. I think it's one per. But other than that, nothing else changes in this game, and I like that a lot when a game has, blank edition where there's like one or two really small things that are different. Like, to your point, you don't have to relearn a whole lot about this game.
Right.
You're not really looking in the rule book that often. It's pretty simple. I know you guys have this one too. So what do you guys think about this one?
This is our go-to Carcassonne.
Okay.
Our regular Carcassonne, we have so many mini expansions and other expansions. We got expansions. I was looking through it a couple weeks ago, and we have expansions. We haven't even played it. I can't even remember which one it is. But that game, it got so complicated to keep track of everything and remember, and then I just separated everything. But now, when we want to play Carcassonne, if we want to play, vanilla Carcassonne, we get Winter. Otherwise, we're going to get one of the new ones. We have the Gold Rush. I like.
Mm-hmm.
We have Amazonas, Hill and Dale, and I think Safari. And I've never played. No, I'm sorry. I don't own Hunters and Gatherers or South Seas, but I believe you do.
I do.
And we've played them both, and I like them both a lot. I think Hunters and Gatherers could be my favorite out of all the outside the normal Carcassonne style games.
Oh.
Now, I do hear that I think the city, Carcassonne, the city, is a lot of people's favorite Carcassonne.
Yes, I've heard that as well.
I've never played that one.
I have not either. I do know that they're doing a reprint of Hunters and Gatherers. So if you wanted to pick that up, you would probably get a nice, newer looking one with some better artwork, perhaps. But that's a discussion for another day. We could talk about Carcassonne a whole lot.
Oh,
I
yeah.
will say that Eric is the one who taught me Carcassonne way back in the day,
How'd that
and
go?
it didn't go very well. Every time I then played this game with Eric, he liked it so much that he was getting these little mini expansions. And every time I played with him again, he had a new expansion. And he would go over the rules and be like, and now this thing gets you 3 points here, and this thing. And I felt like I was always behind the learning curve
Yep.
on the game. But once I got the hang of Carcassonne, man, it's a great game. Again, it's in a lot of people's collections. If you've never played it, you have to check it out. It's really nice and simple. Getting off the path here, but Winter Carcassonne, my first pick.
So my last pick is Snowtails. It's a racing game where you're racing with sled dogs, and it's got a couple strikes against it. I really like the game, but it's got a couple strikes against it in this house, so it doesn't get to the table too often. Number one, through no fault of its own, it happens to be you have to put the board together, and it's a pretty large size board, and we don't yet have a large enough table that we can put that out there and also have a nice space in front of us to have everything that we need in front of us, which isn't even too much. But strike one. Strike two is that my wife doesn't really like the game that much. I'm sure if we played it a few more times, she would sort of enjoy it, but for one reason or another, and I haven't asked her about it, but she doesn't seem to really like the game. And then the third strike, again, through no fault of its own, it's snow themed. So in my house, it's really got like a 4-month window to get played. And for like the first month or two of those, it's all about Christmas. And so it gets overlooked. And then it's like, oh, well, I'll just wait until it snows. And now that, I'm down here and it doesn't snow as much, I got to just see everybody else's snow on Instagram. And then it doesn't make me want to play a snow themed board game when we're getting rain down here.
That's fair.
Yeah. But otherwise, it's a great game, great racing game. You're playing out cards of different values for the strength of the dogs that are pulling your sled. And if you have a 5 on the left and a 4 on the right, then he's going to pull a little bit to the left because he's got more power on the left. And he's going to move really fast. Right? And then when you got to hit those turns, you kind of want to slow down. You want to put out like a 3, but I think you can only put out 1 card per turn. So if you want to go from a 5 to a 1, you're going to it's hasn't been played in a while.
Yeah.
But when it was, I loved it. Now, did you play that one with us?
I played it once with you guys, and I did like it. But I see your points about the strikes. I mean, it's tough to have a fun racing game that plays well with only 2 players in general, right?
Right.
And
hey, I didn't even mention that one, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's probably one of the reasons why Melissa doesn't like it that much. I mean, and I get it because you can kind of be out of it pretty early on and never really catch up.
And then you play the rest of the game like this.
Yeah, well, that's your. But I do like that. Like your first pick, this is a really narrow and focused theme, right? And it's I don't know any other game that's about this specifically. And that whole mechanism with taking the difference of the strength between the cards is pretty cool. It's pretty thematic. I like it.
Yeah, and it's cute. It's got little dogs.
For my second pick, I'm sticking with the household favorites, another very popular game called Ticket to Ride. Again, another game that should be in your collection. If it isn't, there's probably arguably as many versions of this as there are Carcassonne, maybe. I don't know what the number is, but it's pretty cool.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of maps, at least. I don't know about versions, but a lot of maps.
Well, yeah. And a lot of the maps that come out are double-sided, so you get kind of like 2 different games in one.
But they usually still do require that base version.
Yes, that's true. If you've never played Ticket to Ride before, it's a real simple game where you're collecting different colors of train cards and trying to get a certain number to put these train pieces down onto a map. So if there's a route that's 4 spaces long and it's yellow, you're trying to collect 4 yellow cards, place them down, claim that route. And you're going to get points for any route that you make, depending on how big it is, but also some bonus points at the end because you're going to be collecting these destination tickets, which show 2 locations on the map. And if you successfully connect those two spots, you'll get points for that as well. Also, you'll lose points if you don't complete them. That's the general idea of how Ticket to Ride works. The Ticket to Ride that I'm talking about, the winter edition, is called Ticket to Ride Nordic Countries, which, like Carcassonne, has a nice snowy background to it. It is specifically only for 2 to 3 players, which is very interesting. Because of that, the map is a lot tighter than, say, US or Europe, right? And in a 2-player game specifically, there's going to be a lot of blocking going on because there are some cities that have a double route. Once one of them is claimed, the other one is not open anymore. So there's a lot more head-to-head here with 2 players than in your typical Ticket to Ride.
And I believe in this version is where the locomotives can only be played as ferries and as tunnels.
Yeah, you're trying to tunnel through. When you try to claim a route that has a tunnel involved, you have to draw more cards from the top of the deck.
Right.
And if any of them match the color, you got to fork over more cards of that color, or you're not going to get that route.
We have to keep those rules on an index card so that when we play this version, we know that locomotives are played this way. And same thing with Carcassonne. This is our go-to Ticket to Ride.
Nice.
We love it. And something that you didn't mention, probably because I cut you off, the train cards look fantastic because it's snowing on the trains, and it just the artwork's great, the game is great, and like my wife would say, I like the purple trains.
Yes, we should point out that the colored trains in this game are purple, white, and black, which is pretty cool color scheme with the whole map and everything. In the other versions of Ticket to Ride, it's basically red, blue, yellow, black, and red, maybe.
I'm not sure, but
I think so.
In at least the European version, it's a really nice looking red.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. It's different. You feel like it looks different than the red from
I don't have America. I just have Europe.
Oh,
but I do know that I like the red on the trains. I typically want to play with that one because it's a nice shade of red.
Other than that, the gameplay is pretty much the same as a regular Ticket to Ride map. I think there are also less trains in this version rather, so the game's over faster. And the only other difference is going back to talking about the locomotives. The locomotive cards are wild, so they count as any color in Ticket to Ride. Normally in Ticket to Ride, if there are wild cards out for you to choose from, you can only take one of them. In this particular version, Nordic countries, because they're used so often, you can take 2 of them if you want. That's a big difference.
I think you can still use 4 cards of any kind as a locomotive.
Yes, that's true. That's true. So there's no hand limit in this game, which is great because you can be like hoarding a whole bunch of cards. But if you have 4 of the same one and a couple locomotives, you can almost get any route that you want. There's one really long route, right, that I think is longer than any other map.
Yeah, I want to say it's like 9, but it could be even like 12 or something like that.
I think it's around 9 or 10, and that's a whole lot of points.
Yeah. 27 points maybe for that one road.
Yeah, that sounds right. I think you're right. I think it is 27 for sure. So you had a couple of snow theme games from Eric that were really focused and unique on the theme of the game and what you're trying to do. I gave you a couple of picks that were much broader, much more popular games, I would say, that are available a lot more. And between the 4 of them, they're all very different. Check them out. And again, as always, let us know in the comments if you have any particular games that you enjoy that either take place in winter or have a snowy kind of backdrop. Let us know in the comments. And if you would be so kind as to give this video a thumbs up, it does a lot for us via the YouTube algorithm. So it's very helpful. And subscribe if you haven't. That's all I have to do to plug myself. Again, check out Eric at the Meeples Republic. Eric, anything else you want to do, talk about here, add to winter?
Nope, not really. Happy winter, everybody.
Happy winter. Yep. We're going to close things up here, and we'll be back with some more holiday stuff and some more seasonal stuff. Thanks for joining us. Take care, folks.